A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the time when Herod was king. When Jesus was born, some wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. They asked, "Where is the baby who was born to be the King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was troubled, as well as all the people in Jerusalem. Herod called a meeting of all the leading priests and teachers of the law and asked them where the Christ would be born. They answered, "In the town of Bethlehem in Judea. The prophet wrote about this in the Scriptures. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are important among the tribes of Judah. A ruler will come from you, who will be like a shepherd for my people Israel." Then Herod had a secret meeting with the wise men and learned from them the exact time they first saw the star. He sent the wise men to Bethlehem, saying, "Look carefully for the child. When you find him, come and tell me so I can worship him too." After the wise men heard the king, they left. The star that they had seen in the east went before them until it stopped above the place where the child was. When the wise men saw the star, they were filled with joy. They came to the house where the child was and saw him with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. They opened their gifts and gave him treasures of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But God warned the wise men in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they returned to their own country by a different way. The Gospel of the Lord. I'm going to tell you a story about Sean. The only thing that kept Sean's interest in church was youth group. One Sunday evening, the group gathered at a nearby lake. They started a campfire and everyone watched a spectacular sunset. Sean sat in silence, enjoying the sunset's reflection on the still lake until the last pink streak faded in the sky. "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," he said. Caroline overheard him. She had been sitting so quietly that he hadn't noticed her. She asked him, "Do you think God hears us when we say things like that? Do you think God likes it when we enjoy a sunset?" "Yes," Sean replied. Then suddenly something clicked for Sean about worship. "Perhaps part of worship is enjoying something God has made," he said, "to watch a sunset or the rain, and to be thankful that God has such good taste. Am I right?" The next time he worshipped at church, he looked around at the people. Many of their faces wore the same expression of awe Sean had felt at the lake. Maybe this feeling of wow is worship, he thought. It isn't the emotions you go through, it's when you see or hear or remember things so good that you have to catch your breath and then thank and praise God for them. In the Gospel reading, we read about the wow the wise men must have felt when they saw and worshipped the infant Jesus. In what ways might the wise men have felt as Sean did as they watched the sunset? When have you experienced a sense of wow in worship, either in or out of church? Consider noticing the ways that your church worships God and finding out each meaning of each part of the service. Consider visiting few other churches with your family and friends and seeing what each church does differently. When we're allowed. Have a lovely weekend.